production of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited, so just don't do it. It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show, a show all about the thrill of Rob's victories.
Fly ball, center field, Coco, ball game, Western Division. The Oakland A's have shocked the Rangers and the baseball world, and they are the AL Western Division Championship. Unbelievable!
And sometimes even the thrill of Steve's victories.
From the top on down, here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series. 5-1 the final tonight. And the best team in baseball wins it all in 2018.
And the agony of Steve's defeats.
Fight together as Busted landing these. Oh, nice uppercut by Busted Douglas. Look at this. He knocked Mike Tyson down for the first time in his career. Mike Tyson hits the canvas. He's in big trouble. He may not be able to recover. It's up to 7 and 8. He's not gonna make it. Unbelievable. 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 Buster Douglas is the new heavyweight champion of the world.
Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com. And now the Rad Network presents the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
I was trying to figure out there at first, the last one of those clips, the agony of Steve's defeats. I was like, what is this? So but then I heard, that's the moment, right, that boxing died for you, Steve, was the Tyson-Douglas fight. You were done at that moment. That's why it's in your defeats column.
Yes, just so amazed that that happened. I was at the Beer Barrel, which was a local bar up by University of Nevada. Good thing I was there because we drowned in all of our sorrows and everything with it that night.
And look at this homepage, ESPN.com. They picked up where we left off yesterday. The story right now, as of 5 minutes ago, center of ESPN.com, 60 or 70 home runs. What Kyle Schwarber's early stats say about how many homers we'll hit, because we went through he's on the pace thing. And I just laughed when I saw that. We already did the story, but really, here we go. It's May 20th, and Schwarber's going to hit 70, even though he's not playing. Is he ever going to play again? What is he's out like 2 days now.
Yeah, I believe it's illness. I think he has whatever that crud is that's going around.
Now, I want to talk about illness. The hell was that last night? So there's a lot here. Okay, the Knicks, they were down by 22 with 8:19 left in the fourth quarter last night. The big funny for all of the East Coast based reporting, ESPN, anybody else, was, well, if you went to bed last night in the fourth quarter, what do I have for you? Got it. Yes. Okay. They were down by 22. Like, this is the modern day NBA. I ain't going away with 8 minutes left with any team down by 22. With 3 years in a row now, most 30-point comebacks in the NBA or something like that. So either way, the Knicks found their idea. And this was wild to watch and to listen to the way. And we keep talking about, is Mike Brown going to keep his job? You and I aren't doing this, but can everybody start giving him as much credit as he needs and deserves? He decides, hey, I know. Why don't we the Cavaliers, we're going to exploit Jalen Brunson on defense. Okay, so the Knicks had Brunson go at James Harden, and the result was a 44-11 flurry. It was nuts in the fourth quarter and then overtime to complete one of the statistically greatest comebacks in NBA history. 115-104 Knicks win. According to analytics, the Cavaliers had a 99.9% chance of winning with 7:49 remaining. And they found a way to choke it away, and all of it, to a lot of people, Brunson on Harden, and Harden's age showed. I mean, I don't know about you, Steve, but watching it, I'm like, his legs, they can't keep doing this. Brunson scored 16 of his game-high 38 points in the fourth. Harden was 1 of 6 from the field in the quarter. He missed all 3 of his three-pointers. I know what a big fan you are of James Harden in the postseason. There's this other story. Cleveland left 2 timeouts on the board, the defense of which is inexplicable. We can get to that. But let me ask you this, Steve. Here are the phrases being thrown around this morning. It was the miracle at Madison Square Garden. It was a monumental collapse by the Cavaliers, and the Knicks have won the series. Do you agree with any or all of those?
It was an unbelievable comeback by the Knicks. I think the Knicks most likely have won the series. The thing that I kept just watching and was excited for today's show is because when I talk about how the Mavericks couldn't win with Luca, how the Lakers couldn't win with Luca, the Cavs can't win with James Harden. Last night was the display of everything I kept trying to explain. When you have a player that cannot play any defense, you go at them. I don't know why these teams don't do this more often. We finally watched the Knicks, and credit to Mike Brown because he even flat out said, "Look, we just decided to get back in this. We had to attack James Harden. It worked." I did not understand how the Cavs did not change it up somewhere and try to hide him, pull him off the court, do something to help yourself out. But when you have these players that cannot play defense at all, that's what I'm talking about. Luka to me is the same defender as James Harden. And when you get into these big, late, deep into the playoffs, and we saw it when the Mavs went to the finals. Go at him, force him. He is such a weak link defensively, unless he suddenly decides he wants to start playing defense. I loved watching it. I hated the outcome because I was pulling for the Cavs and that like 42-11 run or whatever it was. I just sat there scratching my head saying, what are the Cavs doing? Take him out of the game, anything to stop this onslaught. And they didn't. They just sat there. Okay, we're going to let it happen.
Does this then become the template for the Knicks, or is this something they keep in their pocket for when they need it? I mean, they really needed it last night. Or is this moving forward tomorrow night? Hey, let's just from the beginning do this.
I would like to see teams just do this from the beginning. I don't think I'm the only person who's ever sat there. And if I am, that's really sad about the NBA scouts and these head coaches. If a guy like me can sit there and just say, hey, why don't you do this? And it would work. I think they're going to put it in their back pocket and just save it for when they need it. Uh, James Harden's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's had an unbelievable career. I don't want to take too much away from him, but his game has always been offensively, not defensively. And in a must win situation, as you get deeper into the playoffs and into the finals, I think you're crazy to not just go at this right out of the gate. And look, we're going to take Harden off the court altogether. What are you going to do? We're going to take Luka off the court altogether. Or you could sit there and just allow us to score, time after time on him because he's not going to be able to defend anyone. So I'm hoping it was that wake up call for other teams. I would like to see them do this all the time, adjust to their opponents who they're playing and exploit those weaknesses.
Now, when I turned it over to you, you went with it was an unbelievable comeback by the Knicks, which would be like the positive spin on choice number 2, which was a monumental collapse by the Cavaliers, which is what I heard repeated over and over again this morning, which brings us to the age-old sports question. Did the Cavs lose it, or did the Knicks win it? And when you say it's an unbelievable comeback by the Knicks, sounds to me like you say the Knicks won it. They made a move that worked, as opposed to the Cavaliers collapsed.
And I would lean, well, I think it both happened, but I would lean towards Mike Brown making a decision and changing their offense to exploit this weakness in the Cavs. The Cavs collapse. They didn't adjust. So I give the credit to Mike Brown for finding something and just sticking with it. Here it is. You can't stop it. Why would I stop running it? And that's what he did. And the Cavs just never decided. They could have stopped it. They chose not to.
Now, the second of 3 things that you keyed in on was of the 3, and then we'll get back to the third one. Was you think that I forget how you phrased it, but basically you're leaning towards the Knicks. They're in control of the series. They're likely to win it, etc. And there was a lot of that, but not quite to the same level after the Spurs won. Now the Spurs won on the road. and they play again tonight at OKC. But there was a lot of, whoa, the Spurs, they might already have OKC's number. This one, though, is bigger. Like, there's a lot of people that's it. It's over. Pack it up. Knicks are going to win from one game at home. Is it, what is it? Is it I heard somebody make the argument today. It was the way that the Cavs lost will get in their heads and it'll drag them down and things like that. Is that it?
I I don't know how the Cavs rebound fully out of this because outside of just pretty much benching James Harden, I would love to sit down and ask the GM, the president of basketball operations, hey, wouldn't you love to have Darius Garland back, in your backcourt and him playing because he's not this liability? I don't know how they go forward. I think he was exposed to such an extent, and now everyone's talking about it. If I'm Mike Brown, look, Harden comes on the court. This is what we're doing until you can stop it and it stops working. And I don't think it'll stop working because he is a very poor defender. So why not just keep going at it? Here it is, and force Harden off the court. And now he's supposed to be their missing piece to advance and possibly go to the championship and or win the championship. And you found out he is by far the weakest link in this team, and yet he's unplayable. So Mike Brown, keep at it, go at it, force Harden out, and I don't know how the Cavs rebound.
So you didn't address. Would you not go as far as the big one I heard this morning was the miracle at Madison Square Garden? Does this not reach that Parthenon for you?
I still believe if the Cavs subbed him out and just said, look, we're going to give up the bit of offense he provides, it shuts it down. The Cavs win this game. I know we're looking at an 11-point Knicks win, but just, make it 34-11, something like that. We're not going into overtime. Just shut it down. I don't understand what Atkinson was thinking. It was like, well, he's our guy. He has all the experience. We got to leave him. Just pull him out, bench him. I don't care about his ego. I don't care if he quits the team and leaves the team immediately. You just can't allow it to keep happening. And we watched it.
We'll get back to Atkinson in a second because the thing about the miracle at Madison Square Garden thing that got an eye roll out of me with an audible "oh for God's sakes" this morning the first time I heard it at 5, because to me it feels like that thing that I've been harping on for years, and we talk about it. Everything that happens right now in our time is the most important thing ever to happen anywhere in the universe since the beginning of Christ was a carpenter. It's ridiculous. Here's what's lacking for me. First of all, like you said, it's not really a miracle in that the Cavs could have stopped it, which we'll talk about in a second. And also, it's game 1. If it was game 7 or if it was the clinching game, maybe you get a little closer. That to me that's New York hyperbole. And I would be saying the same thing if it was LA, that media bias thing. But to Coach Atkinson, boy, it seems like everybody likes this guy, but no one can explain what the hell he was thinking. You bring up the Harden thing. What's he still doing in the game? The pain, and you're so right. Watching it as it played out, it was painful. I'm not a fan of either team. I really couldn't care less. But watching it and up and down and up and down and up and down, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, can't they take Harden out? Is there something I'm missing here? At least call a time. And then the announcers was like, is he going to call a timeout? Michael Wilbon from ESPN was at the game, and he was on Get Up this morning, and he's literally saying, he said, as it went on, players start looking at, like, players from the Knicks are running back after scoring, and they're looking at each other going, they're gonna, and pretty soon the officials, according to Wilbon, are like looking at Atkinson going, you want to, no. After the game, Kenny Atkinson, who called only the one timeout during the Knicks' furious comeback, finishes the quarter, 2 timeouts remaining, and defended it after the game, saying, quote, I like to hold my timeouts. I didn't want to have one timeout at the end of the game, 1 or 2 point game, so I tried to hold them, end quote. And as Brian Windhorst said this morning after that, that is a nonsensical response from a guy who's shell-shocked. I thought that was the most kind thing you could say, because that quote makes no sense.
If they were up and it was a 2, 3, 4 point game the entire time, I'd say, okay, look, This is going to the wire. We need those timeouts so that when they score late in the game, if we need that bucket, we can call the timeout, advance it to half court, and set up our offense in order to have a chance to tie or win the game. But when you're up 22, 20, 15, 10, what good do those timeouts do in your pocket? And the part that I also just don't understand, Atkinson, in my opinion, used this against the second and third quarter where the Cavs made their comeback and played so great. Is what were they doing? They were going right at Jalen Brunson. They pulled him out of his game. He did not play the first, the second and third quarters all that well. He was having trouble shooting because he couldn't play the D. All Mike Brown did was turn the tables on him, and it was like Atkinson had never seen it before, even though this is what he was doing to the Knicks. It was comical to watch how bad it was and how he did not react when he was doing the same thing to the Knicks, which is where I was sitting there going, the Cavs are going to win this series because all they got to do is go at Brunson again. Poor defender, like I've been saying, and they were working it to perfection. This offense was flowing. They were playing great basketball. It got turned on them, and they had no clue how to react.
I forget who it was this morning as they were talking about it, and you could tell they were really trying hard to not be over, like not to super pile on Atkinson, but it was difficult for him. And I heard one of them say, in the moment, it was like he forgot how to coach. Like so Windhurst, after he heard the comment, said that's a guy who's making no sense because he's shell shocked. This other commentary was in the moment he was shell shocked, and like Atkinson just forgot. He like got paralyzed. That was the phrase. He got paralyzed. He like just couldn't believe what was happening. Which I don't know, but that's sure what it felt like and seemed like. He's a capable coach. He went backwards this year compared to what he did with the Cavs the previous year. But does this make you question him as a coach?
Yes. I mean, he's capable as a coach, but okay, when it gets tough and the players win and lose the majority of games. I think we all agree with that. But any manager, head coach has their input and determines X amount of games. Steve Kerr wins X amount of games. Splastra wins X amount of games. I'm looking at this going, Atkinson might be the coach. Yeah, he puts him in a position, but crunch time, he doesn't know how to coach. Is that really the one you want to go to battle with? He's great during the regular season, but come pressure time where you need him to step up. Phil Jackson always found a way, and he had great players too. But Phil Jackson had his thumbprint on what they did to put him in those situations to succeed. I am now, for the first time ever, and I loved Atkinson as a head coach. I loved what he did with this team. This year, I couldn't figure them out because they were just so inconsistent. But maybe their inconsistencies really falling on him and not knowing how to get out of pressure situations and making the right moves to release that pressure from the team and put them back on track. Maybe he has a lot of talent and he might be a really bad X's and O's coach.
Capable, of course, is not a giant compliment to say somebody's capable as a coach. And we've seen these studies over the years. I forget the specific numbers, but I know I'm close. Basketball and hockey, the numbers indicate during the regular season, it's around 7 games they think, and this is impossible to really track, that a head coach will decide the outcome, good or bad. So either win or lose, a decision the head coach makes about 7 out of the 81-ish games, right? Baseball, I think it's 10. NFL, it's like 1 or 2 during the regular season. But all of the 4 bigs, postseasons where it really, really matters because limited window, limited series, or just a game. And this is where, like you said, Phil Jackson, sorry, the old cliche is true, the cream rises. I don't know if we're judging Atkinson entirely on this one moment, but this was a bad one. This was like a guy, this was like me coaching a basketball game. I've never done it. I barely played basketball growing up. And here I am going, and I even think I would have been smart enough because I'm yelling at my TV, time out, take Harden out.
Exactly. That's the part I don't even understand is I'm a, couch coach. I'm just sitting there going, hey, look, you got to get Harden out of this game. As you said, take a timeout, readjust, slow it down, calm your team down, get him off the court. And it never happened. So that may have been the one of the worst, if not the worst, because I'm going to have to really think hard to find where I think a coach manager blew it this bad. This is all on him. And I cannot, off the top of my head, recall a game that I feel should have been won that they did so much wrong in order to lose the game.
So this is right now before you have time to think. It's more. This is the Atkinson move is more egregious than your favorite one that you've been bringing up lately, the Dan Campbell move in the NFC Championship a couple of years ago.
Yes, because Campbell, as you said, he's you got to go with the horse that you rode all season long. That's always been Dan Campbell's style, win or lose. And in that situation, it lost. And I thought it was wrong, and I've questioned it many times. But if he had gotten the first down, they went down and they scored a touchdown, went up by 21. I mean, I think at that point, the game with the field goal, I thought it was over at 21-0. I mean, Rob, you're a 49ers fan. I mean, that was like the death stroke.
Yeah, it was
if
over.
if they had gotten the first down there. So don't agree with it, but I understand it because that's it. I can't explain this one, no matter how many different ways I look at it, how he did what he did. And that to me is why I feel it is so bad, is it's not defensible on any front.
So the Cavs and Knicks will play again tomorrow night. Knicks up 1-0. They'll be back at the Garden tonight. Spurs, OKC. Spurs are up 1-0. The game is on NBC at 5:30. As I said, a lot of people are chirping about how big was that win for the Spurs. Wembanyama, just a historic night. And look, it's stupid. It doesn't need to be said out loud. Obviously, tonight, if the Spurs win again in OKC, then we're really looking at not good for OKC. You've mentioned how the Spurs match up so great with OKC, but you also said, I think yesterday when I asked you, you feel pretty good about OKC winning. And I've heard most people feel pretty good about OKC winning tonight. We go back to San Antonio. Spurs have the little bit of advantage for winning the road game. Is that where you're still at?
Yes, and when you step back and just take a look at it, OKC did not play a great game. The Spurs, Wembanyama was out of this planet. I mean, he was so good. And it took double overtime for the Thunder to lose when they weren't at their best. I mean, they were average in that game, and they lost, but it took a lot for them to lose. I still have that confidence they are the best team. They're a 7-point favorite tonight. I would love to see Wembanyama continue this streak and just dominate the game, because I do believe he is a very bad matchup for this Thunder team and just the way the Spurs play. But the Spurs got to, Stephon Castle, love him, but 11 turnovers. He's got to find a way to cut that stuff down. And as SGA gets going offensively like we know he can, he's tough to stop.
So we got playoff basketball tonight, 5:30 on Amazon. Let me jump over a little bit because we're talking about tonight and such too. Hockey and game one, it's the Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado won the President's Trophy, most regular season points, and they are trying to become the first President's Trophy winner to win the Stanley Cup. We're not even there yet, since the Blackhawks did it 13 years ago. 17 different players have scored a goal for Colorado this season. Only the seventh time in history that many players have scored a goal through the first 9 games of a single postseason. The Knights are the 4th club in the modern era with 5 Final Four berths in its first 10 seasons. And the run on this is, Steve, lots of offense. Colorado averaged the most goals per game at 4.11. Vegas third at 3.67. I'm hearing a lot more people give the Golden Knights a chance than previous, where everybody was like, Avalanche. I don't know what's changed. Maybe it's my perception, but a lot of people say this isn't a walk for Colorado.
Well, the first blow to the Avs. I mean, Makar is now out for game 1. He got injured in game 5 with that right arm injury and came out. Makar is the best defenseman on the planet. I mean, it's difficult for any team to replace a player of this talent. But if there's any team in the NHL that can, it's the Avalanche. They're still a $1.75 to a $1.80 favorite in this game, knowing McCarr is out. The Knights, I think they have the chance to make this series very interesting now that McCarr is out. I don't know if it's just a game one thing or if he's going to be out longer term. I'd like to believe he's going to be back. But with McCarr on the ice, I'm sorry, the Avalanche are a far better team. They can pretty much score at will, it seems like, on any team. They are, and I've said this, what I believe to be the best team in the NHL we've seen in many years.
With McCarr out, does it diminish them to the point where they're even with the Knights, or you're still sticking with the one team that can overcome it is the Avalanche?
No, yeah, the Avalanche could overcome it. And to give you an idea, the Avalanche were like a $2, a little over $2 favorite before this injury was announced, and now they dropped down to 8. Now they're like minus a buck 75. So, they're not quite a 2-1 favorite. They're closer to, like a 9-5 favorite in this series.
Interesting timeline on this thing because McCarr sat out practice yesterday, and when Coach Jared Bednar was asked if there's any cause for concern over the health of McCarr, he said no, not yet. And here we are today, and he's not playing. It was literally just announced like 10 minutes ago. We were talking about the Cavs Knicks game. I don't know if that means there's cause for concern. I'm just saying he went out twice. Right, it was game 1 when he hit off the boards. I forget game 5. He came out for a little bit, but came back. Are we at cause for concern? I don't know that. I just know he's not playing tonight. The game is at 5 o'clock on ESPN.
And I would have cause of concern if he's out game 3. Out game 1, out game 2. I got to believe the Avalanche are going to win at least one of those, if not both those games. Then you have that, little bit of rest as it switches to Vegas. But they need him by the time it goes to Vegas, especially if it's 1-1 or 0-2, which I cannot imagine.
We'll stay with hockey and circle our way back to basketball. Vancouver Canucks head coach Adam Foote, or is it Foote? The way these people pronounce their names these days, completed his first season as an NHL head coach. 25-49-8 record. Vancouver finished with the league's worst record. Foote was an NHL defenseman for 19 seasons. He won 2 Stanley Cups. And when he was hired, there was speculation the only reason he got the job was to placate Quinn Hughes, whose future with the Canucks was in question. Well, then Hughes was traded to Minnesota in December. And yesterday, Foote and his entire staff were fired. New general manager Ryan Johnson cleaned house 5 days after taking the job. I mean, they had the worst record, Steve. It's only been a year, but it's hockey. So this one wasn't as shocking as say the Golden Knights when they're in playoff position say, "Yeah, get out of here. We're bringing in a Tagliatelle to finish off things." They just don't last that long in the NHL, and I don't know about the connection with Hughes and such.
And I love it. I think I may have started my text to you with "Gotta love the NHL." Here you go, another head coach fired 1 year. It makes sense. So I mean, you're bringing in a new GM. He wants his people in there. I thought it was interesting that he just flat out let the whole staff go. You're all gone. We'll figure it out. Yep, we'll figure it out from there. But that's the NHL way. I can't knock it. The way I kind of envision the NHL is much more like in that NASCAR. Look, we all have basically the same car. It's that driver that makes the difference, and the little things, adjustments and various things, your pit crew, and that helps gives you that advantage. But if they're not coming through, then move them on. And we see it. I really believe this is going to become the trend more and more for the other sports. I know we hit football, and every Black Monday, there's 7, 8 head coaches that get fired. It wouldn't surprise me if it starts becoming more and more. I think the NBA now is also getting a quicker trigger towards it. So I think that head coach, we all know there's that expiration date. Thank you to Steve Kerr for pointing that out. But I think the expiration date is going to be a lot forward in the various sports.
And we've already seen it in baseball this year. I mean, two of them gone before like early May. With Foot dismissed, there is speculation the Canucks will look internally for his replacement. Manny Malhotra, the head coach of their top minor league team, is being mentioned. He played 3 seasons, and he was also an assistant coach with the Canucks and the Maple Leafs. As of right now, one guy they won't be talking to, as of this second, is Bruce Cassidy. And Steve, maybe you can help me with this because you have more NHL knowledge and experience. The Vegas Golden Knights, who fired Cassidy with 8 games remaining, despite sitting in playoff contention, and he had a year remaining on his contract, and he was one of the NHL's highest paid coaches. The Oilers, the Kings, the Maple Leafs, and it's believed now the Canucks have all reached out to Vegas for permission to interview Bruce Cassidy, and they won't give it to him. Coaches the NHL Coaches Association issued a statement yesterday saying coaches who remain under contract but are no longer working for their club should not be prevented from pursuing other employment opportunities. It is unprecedented. At the head coaching level, should multiple teams be denied permission to speak with Coach Cassidy. And quote, and Vegas does remain responsible for his salary, but this is what, when I was reading this, they finally got to the line I was thinking, which is, teams always work this out. This is why? That's my question for you. Do you have any knowledge from experience or from being in Vegas? Why are the Knights saying no?
I don't understand that. I mean, they're stopping him from working. If you valued him, and I think Cassidy is a great head coach. I mean, he's had success with the Bruins, etc. That's why he's one of the highest paid coaches. But if he's not good enough to be your coach and you fire him, he should be able to and entitled to go seek further employment. I know you're paying him, but they would rather pay him to not coach their team and are willing to pay him to not coach another team, which shows they truly value him. I don't get it. Then why isn't he still the head coach?
And speaking of head coaches, now, the old book, and it hasn't been turned on its head, but it used to be the worst players make the best managers, or coaches. Tony Lewis, a terrible player, great manager. And there's plenty of other examples. Oftentimes, great players then are not great coaches. Sometimes they sneak through. Maybe Don Mattingly. Maybe Don Mattingly is a great manager. We'll see. But Jason Kidd, great player. Always seemed kind of mediocre to me as a coach, but we'll see. He's either way, he ain't a coach today. The Dallas Mavericks, after 5 seasons, in what the team describes as a mutual decision, are no longer employing Jason Kidd. Now, nobody believes that it was mutual. I don't know. The headlines are that he was fired. Is this a Mike Tomlin thing? Is it? We don't know. Either way, he had 4 years and $40 million remaining on his contract. He had a 205 record, dead 500 in his 5-year tenure with the Mavs, and they went 22-18 in the playoffs, advancing to the 2022 Western Conference Finals, the 24 NBA Finals. When they traded Luka, here we go, back to that moment. Luka, in February of 25, Kidd at the time insisted he wasn't aware of the deal until the 11th hour. Sources have since then expressed that Kidd went upstairs and said he wanted to be promoted to basketball president of operations because Nico Harrison, of course, was fired. And the Mavs said, no, we're not even going to consider you. And then Kidd was kept out of the loop in the process that resulted in the hiring of the new president. I'm going to botch this name, Masai Ujiri, I think, who is given full authorization to determine the head coach's future with the franchise. Kidd, who has a losing record as a head coach, 388 and 395, out. You like the decision? Does Kidd have a future with somebody else? What do you think?
I think there's a couple of different ways to view this. One, Jason Kidd is a head coach and firing him. I believe he was fired. And I know they mutually agreed, but it was that you need to say this or you are fired anyway. Is not a good head coach. I have not been. I thought he botched it in Milwaukee. He botched it in Brooklyn, I believe it was. So he would never have been my head coach in the first place. But the Dallas Mavericks fans have to just be imploding right now. I mean, you trade away Luca, now you go and fire Jason Kidd. I mean, we're gonna go find a way to go after Dirk Nowitzki and just take down the triple crown of the Mavericks organization and just destroy it on all levels. I hope that doesn't happen. I think it was the right move. I just don't know how you can sell it, and the trust from the fans in Dallas just has to be gone. I mean, I don't see it. I think they're going to hate the Mavs for the next couple of years until they're able to start winning and advancing in the playoffs. They will come back at that time. But as long as they remain a lottery team, talk about a fan base that just despises the ownership and everything that goes on with this franchise.
It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you, all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say,
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. SueBerry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040. Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Steve has been running sports books for decades, and Rob spent decades running radio so far into the ground he just created his own network. This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show on the Rad Network.
Moving to the NFL, got a new feature. Don't know if we'll ever do it again, but it's called Do You Believe It or Not? Not very creative name. I literally just came up with it during the commercial break as this news broke. So, do you believe it or not? Aaron Rodgers spoke with the media today. That's not the question. For the first time since re-signing with the Steelers. Here it is. Do you believe it or not? He says this season will be his last. Do you believe it or not?
No, not at the moment. If he has success with the Steelers, then, obviously he's going to be looking to extend and get paid at top level again. If he gets benched, maybe, but I would lean towards no, because one of those, until it happens, it's hard for me to believe it's going to happen.
The only thing that made me lean towards yes, and the answer is no, I don't believe it. Because so much, he already said this once. He said this last summer, a summer ago to Pat McAfee. He said this whatever they did, where they go 9-8, whatever this glorious last season was for the Steelers. He said that was going to be his last year. So he's saying it again, only he's a month early. But the other thing too is Aaron Rodgers is the guy that would pull the whole I want the farewell tour. I want I want the NFL's version of wherever I go. Oh, praise Aaron Rodgers things. I don't think it's true, but he said it. He said, oh, "This is it." Okay.
It'd be nice, if he went and he got, 9 vehicles. He got a car from, all the road games from those teams, along with, the car from his team to the Steelers. And a little homework for you, because I did my homework. Is Aaron Rodgers a top 15 quarterback in the league right now? No was my answer. And I went through the teams, and I actually had him not in the top 20. I had him at 25.
That doesn't surprise me because when we were talking about it yesterday, when you were talking, I was also in my mind going through names. I mentioned some of them, and I kept going in my head. And right now today, I mean, when I get to he's not better than Jalen Hurts, I know we're in trouble. And it just kept going and going. I didn't get to doing the full thing. Doesn't surprise me he's not even in the top 20. 25? There's only 6, 7 quarterbacks worse.
Yes, I had him at 7. And I'm giving him Fernando Mendoza, because he hasn't played. I haven't seen him. I'd rather have over Kirk Cousins as well. I mean, I did even put Kirk Cousins in my list. So he's not a top 20 quarterback.
Well, I mean, wait. So Kirk Cousins, he is, well, as of right now, he's the week 1 starter. We'll see. I would put Cousins ahead of Rodgers. Why didn't you?
26. I was just going without trying to go in depth. I was just sitting here going, okay, look, he's not ahead Drake May. He's not ahead of Josh Allen. He's not ahead of Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, Mahomes, Bo Nix, and Justin Herbert. Now you go into he's not ahead of Purdy, Sam Darnold, Matthew Stafford. He's not ahead of Goff or Love or Caleb Williams. He's not ahead of, Daniels, Dart, Jalen Hurts. He's not. So, I mean, I'm right there, gone way past 15 on you. And I'm not even hitting the borderline teams yet.
What? Well, yeah. So I was going to ask, just because he's a name that sticks out, and we know he's going to be the starter. Kyler Murray.
I gave him Kyler Murray. I gave him the advantage over Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, because I'd have to sit and think. This was just going briefly. Okay, who's the starting quarterbacks at these various teams? And I had him at 25. I could move him lower if I give him Kyler Murray and Kirk Cousins. Now he's sitting at like 28.
I don't think, and see, I think to do it the our way, OUR way, is actually to not go too deep into it. Because, paralysis by analysis sort of thing. I wouldn't put Kyler Murray just sitting here talking with you ahead of Aaron Rodgers, but I would put Kirk Cousins. If all we're doing is saying right now today, who do we want as the quarterback, or who's the better quarterback? Yes, I would put Kirk Cousins ahead of him. So if I agree with your other 25, Rodgers is down to 26 or whatever. I mean, who's Bryce Young? Where'd you put? Is he below Aaron Rodgers?
No, I have Bryce Young ahead of Rodgers, but I was going with the top guys. I don't think anyone can say any of the quarterbacks I listed seriously could say Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than that person for 1 year right now.
I agree. What about Geno Smith of the Jets? He's the savior.
He was ahead of Geno Smith as well.
Okay.
I'm giving him Geno.
Wow. Speaking of quarterbacks, Joe Burrow is in the news. The Bengals quarterback says he is satisfied with what the Bengals have done this offseason in attempting to rebuild their defense. He was on a podcast yesterday, and he said, "We have everything we need. We made a big trade for a big-time player. We signed a free agent top safety on the market and other additions. We'll see how the rookies end up. But first impressions, we've got guys that care about the game, care about their job, and want to be great. It's a recipe for success." End quote from Joe Burrow. I heard two takes on this. One was a version of what we always say, this is what you expect and want a quarterback to at least believe, if not say, which gets you to the second reaction. A lot of people said, why say this? Why go this far? People felt like Burrow's really putting himself out there, putting the Bengals out there. And I think a lot of people thought it was like an unnecessary risk or thing to say. I know you're high on Burrow, and I like Burrow a lot. They've got everything. That means they should go to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's what that means.
I don't think he should have said anything. I'm in that camp of why put this out here? Why say anything? Joe Burrow, I love Joe Burrow. He's my favorite player in the NFL right now. And look at that. He doesn't even play on the Detroit Lions. I think he's incredible. My question to him would have been, do you feel they did enough with the offensive line to actually protect you and keep you upright for the entire season? And see what his answer to that would be, because that's the only thing I think he needs to be focusing on is, did they do enough with the offensive line to keep you healthy for the whole season? And if they did, not addressing their bad defense, not addressing any of those other things, if they do that, because we've seen the Bengals go to the Super Bowl having met that criteria poorly because they had a bad offensive line even the year they went to the Super Bowl. So just get him a great offensive line. He can do the rest.
But Kenny, like, okay, so if we just step back again, not diving too far into it, do you view the Bengals as a legitimate AFC contender this year? A legitimate AFC contender to they're probably going to the postseason. Do you think they're a legitimate contender right now today to go to the Super Bowl?
I think if you keep Joe Burrow healthy, I think the Bengals, with their schedule and how everything lined up, I really think they are with the Bills, the Ravens. I think they may even be better than the Ravens. And the Chiefs with a healthy Patrick Mahomes. I think they are as good as any team in the AFC if you were to tell me Joe Burrow plays every game healthy.
And boy, since you mentioned it, people are really down on the Ravens. And anything they can find in Baltimore, they're picking at. Lamar is not showing up again to whatever phase they're in. And of course, the Max Crosby debacle during the offseason. But just in general, a lot of people, more and more, I'm hearing the Ravens. And it's not so much that Harbaugh's gone or their new coach. Just people are expressing a feeling like, even though they're at the top of the odds boards, the over-under on wins this season, a lot of people are saying, the Ravens, it feels kind of like the Niners a couple years ago, where it's like windows closing or closed sort of thing, is what I'm hearing a lot of. And part of it is Lamar getting older and not setting the right tone for the season, or for the team as well.
I think the reality is hitting with Lamar. The older he gets, the less how his speed and his running ability is going to be such an impact on the games. And he's got to become more and more of a true quarterback, being able to throw their way back into games to win. And I have never seen it. I still don't think it exists. I think he's going to get more and more exposed the older he gets. And I think people are finally facing that fact that as great as he is, when he's playing poor competition and or the NFC, because he seems to beat the NFC in every game he plays, he's just really not the ideal quarterback that you want to go in. Look, we have one game to win. Is he the quarterback to win that game, and I don't see it. I never have seen it.
What is his record against the NFC? Is it like 24-3 or 20? It's ridiculous.
It was like, I swear it was like 24-2 going into last year, something like that. And I don't know where it's at now, but you're right. It is absolutely ridiculous how good that team has been against the NFC. And then it makes me wonder how much of that was Harbaugh, though. Is now with Harbaugh gone, where are they fully going to go? And I think there's just a lot of questions going around with this Ravens organization.
Lamar Jackson has a record of 25-3 as a starter against the NFC in his career. Yesterday, the NFL approved, yay, the ability to play as many as 10 international games starting next season, the 27th, up from 8 previously. And the league also voted to strip teams' ability to protect any home games from international play, which we'll dive into here in a second. Oh, and guess what? See, we already were flying to Australia for the Thursday night football, not the season opener. You know where they're looking next is Asia, Japan. That's according to some guy. Peter O'Reilly from the NFL's meeting said, while there are complexities due to travel, they are exploring Japan in particular, Asian sites in general, but Japan in particular, for as early as 2027.
And I see that happening. My concern is I don't want the international games at all, but I don't want the international games in week 17 and 18 where it may have a significant impact on playoff teams. If they go to that extent, and I've heard Roger Goodell talk about how he'd like to see one every week of the season. But could you imagine we roll into week 18 and the Niners are playing the Seahawks to see who wins this division, and they ship it off into Tokyo, Japan, and the game's played there? I mean, that falls to me like into that talk, and we've heard it, of the Super Bowl being an international game and taking the Super Bowl out of our country and playing it internationally. I just, that might be the straw that breaks the camel's back for me with this. And I've tolerated a lot, and I will tolerate a lot more, but that's one of those, you can't do it. That's taboo.
I think both of your examples were nearing what we all think is like almost impossible, but almost is the key word, the jump the shark moment for the NFL. If they start, because Goodell has thrown out the specific number of 16 international games, which if they do that, they can still avoid the last 2 weeks of the season. Because your scenario, any team, any fan, literally playing to get to the postseason, win the division, whatever, and you're not even in America. Never mind the Super Bowl, which would really piss off America. I think we're at those two. Those are two great examples where a lot of people go, no.
Okay, but we know it's all about the money. So we get to 16 and they go 5, 8, 10 years at 6. Hey, where can we gain a little bit more revenue? What can we do to expand? I mean, I thought we were at like 2 international games or whatever. Look, this is too many. And we continue to grow because that's just more way for them to make money. They get to 16, it's going to go to 18. You and I know this. Yes, I'm hoping I'm not alive when this happens. Actually, I'm hoping I am alive so I can complain, but you know what I'm saying.
That's the good news. When you hit after 50, you can look at everything through 2 positive prisms. Either, I'll be dead, I won't have to watch it. Or you're old and cranky already. That's all right. I'll be here and I'll bitch about it as loud as I can. So it's all positive for us. Now, the one, though, that a lot of people are really paying attention to is this. The NFL will no longer allow teams to protect home games from international export. They used to be able to protect 2 of them. 2 of their home games. No, don't put this in Mexico City. Don't put it anywhere we want it in town. Well, they're taking that away. And the way the NFL Vice President of Broadcast Planning, Mike North, defends it says a lot about where the NFL's head is at when it comes to growing Europe. He says, quote, "You can't have a team say, well, I don't want my 2 best games ineligible for international. What kind of message does that send to the international fans?" End quote, North said. Discarding us entirely. you're sending a message to the international fans that the Niners don't want to play the Seahawks at their one home game anywhere other than in Santa Clara. How dare you offend all the Tokyoans?
And do you think there are any real international fans? I mean, I watched the draft and it was one of my complaints because they kept bringing up the international fan winner. I'm sorry for any of those teams. You're telling me that that would be considered one of the greatest fans for that organization. I don't buy it. I think I can find, you know, guys, just go to any bar anywhere. Like you go to the Raider bar, the Steeler bar, or any of those bars, and you're going to find better fans. So we're now catering to I can't say it enough times. We're catering to people who call it the circus. And even and I sent you this text too because TJ Watt sent out a thing and called the international games a circus parade. So it's not just me who's been saying for years this is the circus coming to town. Even TJ Watt came out and said in the last 2 weeks that it's the circus parade.
It was TJ. It wasn't JJ. It was TJ.
Oh, maybe it was JJ. Okay, sorry. Let's go JJ Watt. But it was one of the Watt brothers who came out and said it's a circus parade.
Exactly. Yes, you did send me that, and I thought it was JJ. It doesn't matter, but yes,
it probably was JJ as I think about it.
We know. There's a lot of secondhand information because when you get enough of it, you can go, okay, this is real. The players feel that way. I mean, everybody dismisses what Kyle Shanahan of the Niners is saying because he's just protecting his team and he's bitching about how much they have to fly and play internationally, etc. But there's an element of what Kyle Shanahan is saying is being agreed upon by 31 other coaches who are watching. They just maybe aren't saying it out loud, and a bunch of players are going, he's right. I mean, we're really glad as a Seahawk or whatever, but he's right. But yeah, and then that mindset, how dare you offend the international fan, right? Screw us.
Do you think any of the players sit down and look at this? Oh, this is so cool. We're going to play a game in Germany or something like that. Not a single player in the NFL gets excited when they find out they're going. And I don't want to use the explicitives that they use when they find out, but none of them are celebrating.
And you can't avoid the obvious, which is we're talking about NFL players. These aren't high school kids. They aren't college kids who might be like, oh, wow, I get to see Germany. These are NFL players. They want to see Germany. They go do it on their own. No, they don't get excited. It's dumb. Okay, here's a project we get to do all summer. This is fun. And it kind of depends on what headlines you see or whatever. So we've got the draft out of the way. We got the schedule out of the way. Headline this morning, Eagles. Bane of my existence. The Eagles projected to produce one of the NFL's highest win totals. I went, whoa, really? Because the Eagles, look, I don't like the Eagles. I don't like Jalen Hurts. I don't like Sirianni. So maybe that it feels to me like they're kind of sort of imploding a little bit. I mean, all the reporting, they've had it with Jalen Hurts. He better get it together. Does Jalen Hurts bring down Sirianni? But FanDuel's latest forecast suggests the Eagles remain firmly in the tier of the NFL's contenders entering the 2026 season. Now, I haven't done this, Steve, yet. I wanted us to do it together. Let's see what we can do with the schedule for the Eagles. How many wins do we get to? Being as objectively fair as we can. I'll do them 3 at a time. They open the season hosting the Commanders. They go to Tennessee. They go to Chicago.
2-1.
2-1. Okay, see? All right, we're already on the same page. Next 3. They host the Rams. They host Jacksonville. My God, they have 4 home games in a row? Holy cow. Yes.
Got to be an international game in there somewhere.
There has to be. Maybe that's the first
Jags
one.
at London. Or
the second one, rather. Yes. Okay, so they host the Rams in week 4. They host Jacksonville in week 5. That's probably the international. They host Carolina, and they host Dallas. So I'll do 4 there. So Rams, Jaguars, Panthers, Cowboys.
I would say they're 2.5 and 1.5. So I'd put them at 4.5 wins right now. I could see it 4 and I could see it 5.
Okay. All right. 4. All right. Next, they go to Washington. They host the Giants, and then they have a bye. Of those 2, split them. or give them both.
Yeah, no, I'd go. Let's split them at 5.5.
Okay. So they're either at 5.5 or 6.5, depending on how we feel about this, right? Okay. Then they host Pittsburgh. They go to Dallas. They go to Arizona. 2 wins.
5.5. See, I would have them at 8. I think they're 2.5 wins out of those 3.
All right. So now you got them at 8 after they go to Arizona, and then we wrap up the season. They host the Colts. Boy, here we go again with these home games. Eagles host the Colts, the Seahawks, and the Texans. 3 weeks in a row, December 13th, 19th, and 24th, they host the Colts, Seahawks, Texans. 1.
I'll give you, what are we at? 8? I'm going to go to 9.5. I'm giving you 1.5 there.
Okay. And then the last 2, they're at San Francisco and they're at the Giants.
I'm at 10.5.
Yeah.
10.5.
All right. Now, according to FanDuel, their latest projected win totals after the schedule came out, the over-under on victories for the regular season for the Philadelphia Eagles, 10.5. Well, that's where we wound up.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually looking at this schedule, as much as I was down on the Eagles and I hope they slide, man, if Jalen Hurts is focused and they can play and they don't have AJ Brown distractions and Sirianni could just remain out of it. Don't include him on anything here. This could be an 11-12 win team.
It could. But like I said, I didn't look at it until right before we did it. And then I glanced down and I saw, holy crap, they have Tennessee, they have Carolina, they have 2 with the Giants, they have Arizona. Right away you start going, well, there's 4, maybe 5. So it's not now, hopefully, for me personally, they'll collapse entirely in the playoffs, in the postseason, if they actually do get there and live up to that. But sure, if you look at the schedule, that's a good 10.5. So so you just wouldn't bet it. You don't like either. Over under 10.5 Eagles? I don't like either one.
Nope. That's a total that I would stay away from.
Yeah, out of there. No thanks.
It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say,
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Barry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is Barry, Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, Barry.com, SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040, Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show. Call the show at 888-587-5355 or email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
All right, let's see what we got here. Major League Baseball now. Sorry, I was taking my Labrador to go to the bathroom, so hopefully I'm ready to go here. We're going to start with the New York Yankees. They've won 2 in a row. They've won 4 of their last 10. They're 30-19, 3 games back of the Tampa Bay Rays. We said yesterday they were considering bringing up Garrett Cole back from his rehab. He was supposed to have one more rehab start, or they could just say, don't rehab, come play for us. It was not long after our show ended yesterday that ace Garrett Cole was announced to make his season debut this Friday when the Yankees take on, oh, look at that, the Tampa Bay Rays, who they're 3 games behind. It's his first start since undergoing Tommy John surgery last year in the majors. They were looking at the 7th and final. The club, in concert with the training staff and with Cole, decided he's ready after a strong outing Saturday. He narrowly avoided Tommy John surgery in March of 24, wasn't so lucky last year, and he will take the mound Friday at Yankee Stadium 14 months and 11 days after the surgery date. Manager Aaron Boone insists the decision is not in reaction to Max Fried, the team's ace, who landed on the injured list last week. I don't believe that, but Garrett Cole, all accounts are, has looked great, but he hasn't made a major league start in 14 months and 11 days going against the first base Rays. It's on Fridays, not today or even tomorrow. What do we expect, Steve? I know what everybody wants. If you're a baseball fan, take the Yankees out of it. You want to see this guy as a hell of a pitcher. Go out, pitch 5 innings, give up a hit, throw 60 pitches. All right, it's good for baseball. But what do we really expect?
5 innings, throw about 60 pitches, hopefully give up 2 or fewer runs. And I don't buy it. He's being brought back. He was supposed to make 7 rehab starts. He's made 6, so they're bringing him back a little bit early. And I think that has everything to do with Max Fried going down and the fact that they just don't seem to be able to gain any ground on Tampa Bay. They continue to play great baseball. So I don't blame them in any way about bringing him back. I'm hoping baseball's better when Garrett Cole is throwing and pitching because he is one of the elite pitchers in the game. And as much as I'm a Red Sox fan, baseball is a better game when the Yankees matter, when the Yankees matter.
And I look, the fact that they're playing the Rays, who they're 3 games back of, are we really saying that a less than 100% Garrett Cole is worse than any other choice they really have? I'm not. I throw Cole out there. See what happens. That's on Friday though, because today the Yankees are hosting the Toronto Blue Jays, who are 11.5 back of the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Yankees are throwing their actual ace. Your buddy Cam Schlittler is back on the mound for the Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees have taken the first two from Toronto. Not a good sign for the Blue Jays. Tonight they got Schlittler on the mound. This guy's 6-1 with a 1.35 ERA. He has been virtually unhittable. And over his last three starts, his ERA is 1.00 with a whip of 0.7. He is going against Yasavage. He's the good young pitcher for the Blue Jays. Right now, Savage is 1-1, but he struggled over his last three. Even though his ERA is 1.93 those last three starts, his whip is 1.50. He's putting too many runners on base right now. He's got to get that under control. It's a great pitching matchup. And the Blue Jays cannot afford. They have to win this game. They don't want to drop the first three in New York to the Yankees because that just keeps putting them. They're already 11.5 back. They don't want to fall even farther.
The East is getting almost stupid at this point. You got the Yankees 3 games back. Obviously, that's no big deal. The Blue Jays and Red Sox are both an 11.5 back. The Orioles, who have lost 2 in a row, are 12 back. We're getting close to that point where it's a 2-team race. We're not quite there yet, but now I mentioned earlier we have a couple new features today. I don't know if you'll ever see them again. One of them was "Do you believe it or not?" and that was Aaron Rodgers says this is it, his last year. Nobody believes it. All right, another new feature, said affectionately, people Steve won't shut up about. You Steve, have made a little case for yourself over the years. What, 3 games into Victor Wembanyama's career, you're saying, "Oh, he's going to be one of the best we've ever seen." It was like, what? What are you talking? You were right, and you've been doing this lately with a lot of these youngsters in baseball, and a few of them popped up last night in the news, starting with this is your newest one, because every time you say it, I think of the actor. There's no S on the end of his last name, but James Wood. If you haven't seen James Wood, you need to check him out. I'm like, what? Okay, well, there it is. Last night, Washington Nationals outfielder James Wood hit a grand slam, but not just any grand slam. An inside the park grand slam as they beat the Mets 9-6, down 5-0. Nationals load the bases, 2 out. Second inning against Nolan McLean. Wood hits a first pitch sweeper to the opposite field, glances off the arm of Morabito, bounces into center. 23-year-old Wood is running around the bases. Meanwhile, Tyrone Taylor, the center fielder for the Nationals, crashes into the wall because he's distracted. I don't know what he was looking at when I watched it. I didn't see it live. I'm like, what are you doing? Either way, ball's bounding around. Wood goes all the way. What was it? 15.15 seconds. I don't know if that's a record or anything, but Wood scampered around the bases, slid head first for his first career grand slam, 13th homer of the season, but inside the park grand slam. There he is. There's your buddy who you keep talking, won't shut up about, said affectionately, James Wood, inside the park grand slam.
equal housing opportunity.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who really have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
You know those guys you see in a sports bar laughing and enjoying each other and just talking sports? That's this. Back to the Rob and Steve Show. Email them, ras@theradnetwork.com.
All right, we're back, we think. We've had gremlins this morning with Wi-Fi and various connections. Forgive us. Now, depending on where we lost you, we were starting to go over people that Steve won't shut up about. We went through James Wood, hit an inside the park grand slam for the Nationals yesterday. And then we have Jacob Mizorowski, who won the game for the Brewers. He's now 4-2, pitched 6 innings yesterday. And I think the last thing you said was, Steve, please don't get hurt. Mizorowski.
Yeah, see, he's given up 9 hits. Think about that. In his last 4 starts to go along with 38 strikeouts and only 5 walks without allowing a run. He is as dominant as a pitcher right now as we have seen, and being so young and throwing so hard. I mean, we watched Aaron Judge when they faced the Yankees just like walk out of the box after striking out. Like, what do you do here? And Aaron Judge is arguably, in my opinion, the best hitter in the whole game. And he is like, look, the guy's unhittable when he's able to spot his pitches.
Now, you say where you put him in that upper echelon. Are you saying he's like right now? Not talking long term. Right now, he's in that era of Paul Skeens and Schlittler. He's that dominant right now.
I said last year, I asked the question is Mizorowski and Paul Skeens, which player would I rather have as my starting pitcher? I can pick one or the other. And this was last season, probably in that July, August, range. And I wasn't sure I was taking Paul Skeens over Mizorowski last season. Right now, I am leaning. I think as great as Paul Skeens is, and keep in mind, I think he's the second best pitcher in all of baseball. But Mizorowski has the highest ceiling of any pitcher I have seen in the major leagues, and I couldn't tell you how long, because if he can continue to develop those others, the dude throws like a 96-mile-an-hour slider. So not only is it 96, which is faster than most pitchers' fastballs, but it's got big movement on it as on top of it. If he can consistently put that in a strike zone, he becomes unhittable. And if he stays healthy and can maintain this, he's only going to get better. And he's like 6'9". I know I said like a buck 80, but he's probably like 6'9", 210. He's gonna fill out and become an even stronger pitcher as his body, matures. There isn't another pitcher in all of baseball that has a higher ceiling of where this kid could go. Question is can he stay healthy?
Wow. Well, the Brewers are in first place by half a game over both the Cardinals and the Cubs. Brewers have won 2 in a row, and the Cubs have lost 4 in a row. The Cubs host Milwaukee again today. Kyle Harrison goes for Milwaukee, and Edward Cabrera goes for the Cubs, who are doing that wobbly thing after being really hot.
Yeah, they are doing that wobbly thing right now. And I just shake my head with the Brewers and how they keep bringing up these pitchers. And I know Kyle Harrison, but he was traded away from the Giants off to the Red Sox. The Red Sox threw him on the crap heap file. Like, here, you can just have him. And the guy's 4-1 on the season. He's got a 1.80 ERA over his last 4 starts. He's finding a way to get it done. The Cubs brought in Cabrera, thought he'd be one of their top pitchers, needed to add some strength to that rotation. He's sitting at 3-1, but he hasn't been good in his last 3 outings. His ERA last 3, 6.6, 1.60 whip. And the Brewers take game 1 in yesterday's game. That really wasn't a whole lot of a fight there. The Cubs rallied after Mizorowski came out of the game. But I still think the Cubs are the best team in this division. It's just this Brewers team every year. I sit there looking at it going, are they really going to do it? They're always in sell mode. They always trade away their top players. And here they are again playing great baseball.
And they're tied for the 3rd best run differential in all the majors with the New York Yankees. If we go backwards 1, James Wood plays for the Nationals. They've got another game today. They're hosting the Mets again. And right now, so we were talking about the American League East, where it feels a little premature, but it feels like this is already becoming a 2-team race. Rays 3 games over the Yankees. Blue Jays, Red Sox, Orioles 11.5, 12 games back. You go to the National League East. Braves are up by 8 over the Phillies, who finally lost. What do they have? 16-5 under Mattingly, something like that. And then Phillies are 8 games back. Nationals 9, Marlins 11, Mets 11.5. And the Mets, all right, they're 6-4 in their last 10. They've done a little something. I don't know how much these games matter for how much longer, but tonight, the Washington Nationals will host the Mets, and it'll be Zach Thornton at Zach. Oh, it's the Zach and Zach, but they're spelled different. Is it Little or Littell? Either way, there's your matchup.
I believe it's Littell. And the Mets, their ace on the mound last night. I mean, Nolan McLean, they lose 9-6. In one sense, I say it's not a surprise. Anytime you see a team score 10 runs in extra innings in one inning, you're due for that little bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
But, McLean's like one of the top young pitchers in the game. This game, the Mets are a little bit favorite here. Washington still struggles with their pitching. Littell's nothing to write home about. He's 1-3 on the season with an ERA over 7. But I love this spike that the Nationals have. We already talked about James Wood, CJ Abrams, Lyle. This guy has been on fire for the last couple of weeks. They brought back up Drew Cruz, an outfielder, young guy they felt was going to be there, but he need to work on his swing a little bit. The Mets aren't scaring anybody. I know they fought their way back into it, but for me, they're just an overpriced team that's a good to average team. They're not great. They're never going to catch the Braves. They're never going to catch the Phillies. And I'm really curious to see where the Mets go at this offseason when they're disappointed again and don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, what do they spend more money? I mean, technically, because of the way that they track this stuff or rank it, with the deferments that the Dodgers are doing, technically the Mets have the highest payroll. What do they do? What do they do right away?
Right. I don't even know. They can't get out of the contracts. As you said, what are they going to do? Spend more money? We're going to start spending $500 million to put a mediocre, product onto the field. I just, It's a shame. The owner wants to win so bad, he's willing to spend any amount of money to bring a winner there. It's just his baseball people, to me, are not spending the money wisely. They're spending the money because I have it. Let's go on a spending spree, Rob. Let's just go hit the store and buy everything we want and not target what we need and what is value to the team. And that's the problem I have with how the Mets operate.
All right, we have one more in our affectionately titled feature, People Steve Won't Shut Up About. This has been the last couple weeks and more, and your frustration is shared by so many. And then if it's not shared already, when you actually sit down and read the story, you go, this makes no goddamn sense. San Francisco Giants. Come on. I don't know what they're doing. You wrote them off. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know where the Giants. I don't know anything they're doing. They're not supposed to be 20-29 with the fourth worst run differential in all of Major League Baseball, second to last, 10 games behind the Dodgers and Padres, depending on what day it is. But the big story, the guy you won't shut up about, is Bryce Eldridge, the Giants' top prospect, who's not playing, and nobody can explain why. And the only answer we got yesterday made as little sense as Kenny Atkinson's defense for saving up his timeouts that he never used last night. Bryce Atkinson. Here's how this is USA Today Sports or ESPN. Either one. They start out by saying it's like having a Porsche 911, but you can't drive it over 25 miles an hour. What's the point? It's the Giants called up their number one prospect, Bryce Eldridge, one of the prize young sluggers in baseball. He is 6'7", 251 pounds, first round pick, and he's rotting on the bench. He was promoted from AAA 2 weeks ago, called up May 4th, started 5 games in the last 2 weeks, and only once in the last 5 days, for a team whose season is over or on life support, for God's sakes. He's 21. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but he had the best night of his season on May 18th, 2 nights ago, right? 2 hits for the Giants, which matched his season total. His reward was sit on the bench yesterday because the lineup card was already made out or whatever. In fact, yeah, here it is. Tuesday's lineup was comprised ahead of time, regardless of how Eldridge fared. Even though Diamondback starter Ryan Nelson yesterday was right-handed and Eldridge is left-handed, manager Tony Vitello said that Nelson's reverse splits, these damn analytics, made it a difficult matchup. That means that Nelson, who's a right-hander, does great against left-handers, which is what Eldridge is. And Vitello or the GM or Buster Posey, I don't goddamn know who, said, yeah, sit him. That's no good. And then by the way, the Diamondbacks wound up using 3 right-handed pitchers in their 5-3 win yesterday. Eldridge never moved. And as to the why, Giants manager Tony Vitello said, quote, it's a little bit of a puzzle to solve. But when you come to work every day and you've got a guy that always got a smile on his face and he's willing to do whatever you ask, it makes it a lot easier, end quote. What?
A lot easier to ruin his career. I mean, even if they start playing him now, he really hasn't played in 2 weeks. He's not fresh. He's not in a routine. He's not in a groove, feeling things. They have to send him down for about 3 to 4 weeks now. Give him a month of playing every day to get used to playing, get his stroke back to where he's barreling up balls, hitting them hard, and then bring him back up. If you aren't going to play him every day, don't bring him up. And this goes back to Little League. You see a 10-year-old in that 10 to 12 Little League, going to start him in the majors with that 11 to 12. Leave him down. Let him have success in the minors with the younger kids. Be an all-star. Feel great about himself. So when he does come up the next year, he's ready to play. I don't understand it. I think they're ruining him. He's 21. He's got to be asking himself, what is he doing now? Why is he up here to go sit on the bench? And you don't want your top prospect going through that. This organization, and I'm growing really frustrated with it, and I don't get frustrated with too many teams, but to me, they are just mismanaging this to such an extent. And you could say, look, I get it. Casey Schmidt has been one of our best hitters all year. He's a utility guy, but he also plays first base. We need to keep him in the lineup. Rafi Devers, we're spending for him. He's a first baseman DH. So Eldridge doesn't have a spot to play consistently. I understand that. I can buy all of that, but then don't bring him up to sit on the bench.
Right.
That is really simple, and ruin him and put all of this bad mojo vibes, whatever you want to say, because you can't tell me he's not questioning whether or not he belongs in the major leagues now, where 3 weeks ago he would have said, look, this is the path I'm developing my game. When I get up there, I'm never going back. Now he doesn't know what's going on. The Giants make no sense.
And the only thing that makes it, at least for me, a little bit worse is that Eldridge seems to be very smart, very savvy, because he was asked as well about this. And I'm going back to Vitello's quote in a second because that's nuts. But Eldridge was asked, and he said, quote, "I'm surprised, but it's not my decision. You can argue every day that playing every day would be helpful. I'm happy to be here. This is where I've always wanted to be. I've just got to continue to earn my stripes here," end quote. Smart. Good thing to say. That's what he should say. He can't go much further publicly. You can read between the lines. He is saying, he is questioning everything you said. And I still want to know what the hell Tony Vitello means. I only come to one thing. When he says, you got this guy who's coming in, he's got a smile on his face, he's willing to do whatever he has, makes a lot of... So is he saying that Bryce Eldridge is such a professional that he shows up every day, he's in a good mood, but he's also conciliatory, so I'm not going to play him because he's making it easy on me to not play him? That's how I hear it. That's who's it easy on other than manager Tony Vitello? Hey kid, thanks for coming up. We're benching you. Yeah, you're gonna sit even though you had this great game yesterday.
And see, I view it as this is a college/high school coach. I only get the kids for a couple of years. I'm going to play what we have. If I got a kid who's great and has that great mentality and look, I'm willing to sit, whatever you need, coach, I'm here to do whatever doesn't raise anything. Great. But this is the major leagues. I mean, I watched Pittsburgh and another player I talk about, Connor Griffin with the Pirates. He came up, what did he hit? Like for the first 50 at bats or whatever, he's guys hitting like $150. He's now up to over 250. He put in his time. They kept him in the lineup. He worked his way through it. He got comfortable at the big leagues, and now he's playing good, and he's starting to become the player that we all envisioned him to be. Bryce Eldridge right now, we're envisioning him. Is he a utility guy? Does he not fit with the prospect? And it wouldn't even make sense if they were the Atlanta Braves with, one of the best records in all of baseball. And they choose to do this. I'd still be saying it doesn't make sense. Leave them down. You're winning. You're able to do these things. But when you're one of the 3 worst teams in all of baseball, that's the only thing you have to look at. Let's start developing and find out what we have. And they can't even do that right. It's so frustrating.
Connor Griffin, by the way, currently hitting 261 for the year. The Giants... Here's a quick little offshoot. Last weekend, Mets played the Yankees, Cubs played the White Sox, Giants played the A's, Angels played the Dodgers. They called it rivalry weekend. There were almost no rivalries played last weekend. The A's and Giants are not a rivalry. The Bay Area has not spent the last 50 years, I spent a good part of my life living there, where A's fans hate Giants fans and vice versa. You pick one. Actually, in the Bay Area, you pick one and then 1A because Bay Area fans are awful. Don't get me started. It's not a damn rivalry. The Astros and the Rangers, they're not a rivalry. It should have been called proximity weekend. Here are the teams playing one another that are close together in proximity. So I say all that as the reinforcement to, just because I'm a lifelong A's fan, I don't hate the Giants. I'm just not a Giants fan. This is ridiculous. I mean, every single thing we get about the Giants, you're absolutely right. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they're doing it, and they can't explain it. There's another, like the Eagles. We were talking about the Eagles before, how they seem to be imploding. The Giants just are.
And I got one more example to give you here. Aaron Judge, when he came up in 2016 with the Yankees, was terrible. He had to get his footing, had to figure out. And to give you an idea how terrible he was, he had 84 at-bats. He struck out 42 times. He struck out half of his plate appearances. He only had 9 walks. The guy did nothing, but the Yankees let him play through it through the end of 2016 to get him comfortable and adjust to the major league level. Aaron Judge comes back in 2017, 155 games. Guess what? 52 home runs. They didn't sit there and go, oh, hey, you're only hitting a $179 and you strike out half of your plate appearances. So we're not going to play you at all. We're just going to play you sporadically. They let him get the full taste of it and become the major league hitter he is. My fear is that the Giants are not going to allow Eldridge to become the potential great hitter that he could become.
So the Giants, they sit in fourth, 10 games back and 9 games below 500. The Diamondbacks are a game over 500. They're only 5 games back of the Dodgers. Padres are a half game back of the Dodgers. Everybody, quote, quote, kind of the West, the National League West, it's Padres, Dodgers, Padres, Dodgers. Now, the Diamondbacks, if all things were equal, they would be in 4th place in the National League Central. They'd be in 2nd place in the National League East. They're a percentage point ahead of the Phillies. Are the Diamondbacks a viable postseason threat where 3 teams come out of the National League West when you look long term?
I don't see it quite there with the Diamondbacks. They're too good to be near the bottom, but they're not quite good enough to be that legitimate playoff team. They're stuck in limbo. I give them credit; they've gone out and signed some free agents. They had the big pitcher they brought over who did not materialize, and he's been out pretty much his whole time since they've signed him. And they're just, Ketel Marte is a quality player. Corbin Carroll is a really good player. Perdomo, their shortstop, I really like him. He's a clutch hitter. He's just not performing, so far this year. They can't compete with the Padres or the Dodgers. They're that marginal team. They're not even as good and consistent as, say, the Brewers. The Phillies are a better. So see, there's just too many teams that are better than them that they're trying to chase, but they're clearly better than half the National League. I mean, they're better than the Nationals, Marlins. I really think they are very similar to the Mets without the payroll in quality of the team. That's all the better I think the Mets are. I think they're like the Diamondbacks. They're a good team that cannot compete to go deep into the playoffs. It's just not there.
I brought it all up because the Diamondbacks play the Giants. They're sending Merrill Kelly today to the mound while the Giants are countering with 1-5 Tyler Mahle in Arizona.
Yeah, the bright spot here is Kelly hasn't had a good season. He's 3-3. His ERA is around 6, but his last 3 starts have shown some promise. His ERA is 3.6. His whip is 0.98, which shows how bad he was early on in the season. Mahle for the Giants, just not a good pitcher. 1-5. ERA's 5.67. CRA over his last 3 is 5.06. His whip's 1.44. There's not a whole lot there. This is a guy they brought in. They thought he would add some depth. They had the front end of that rotation. They wanted that 3, 4, 5. It just hasn't materialized, and he just hasn't been good to this point. He has the potential to turn it around, but I don't think he's ever really been more than a 4 or a 5 in a starting rotation, in my opinion. So not good news for the Giants. The Diamondbacks are a slight favorite in this game because they are at home, and we'll see where it takes them. And hopefully Eldridge will get the start, but really I'm hoping they don't start him now, then just send him down.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with Eldridge now that it's getting national attention. Does anything change? Do they play him more? Do they just keep doing this rot thing? By the way, the Giants, after they're done with the Diamondbacks, they'll host the White Sox and then they'll host the Diamondbacks again. So,
and let me add one more thing, just to add to this, to give you the potential. Eldridge and Nick Kurtz were very similar in what they project these two players to do. You watch Nick Kurtz and what he has become with the A's in such a short time. And if you're a Giants fan going, we have our version of Nick Kurtz and they won't even play him and allow him to develop, we have that guy. That's how good Eldridge's potential is, that he and Nick Kurtz as prospects were considered very, very similar.
That's nuts, and it leads us perfectly into a day after TJ Ginn took a no-hitter into the bottom of the ninth, lost the shutout, and lost the game. The A's went out and decided, why don't we just obliterate the Angels? And it was led by this guy named Nick Kurtz. 3 hits, 5 RBIs. Rooker and Geloff homered and drove in 3 runs. A's beat the Angels 14-6 last night. Your buddy, A's starter Jacob Lopez, I thought of you. He was knocked out of the game in the 4th when the Angels pulled within 6-4 after you eviscerated Lopez yesterday on the show. They went on to win anyways. He had nothing to do with the decision.
Yeah, and Eldridge, I mean, Kurtz, 3 for 5, as you said. He's up to 276. He's carrying this offense, 5 more RBI. And Lopez, let me explain it. He's 28. He's a journeyman starting pitcher. He spent a couple of years with Tampa Bay, a couple of years with now the A's. He might be a fine addition to the bullpen. I'm not saying he can't pitch. He's never going to be good. The A's spotted him like 6 runs.
Yep,
and he still couldn't get out of the 4th inning. And in that 3 2/3, 7 hits, 3, he put 10 guys on base. This is why I'm so critical of, and it seems to happen fairly often, which is why he is that journeyman starting pitcher. But great win for the A's. I mean, they really came out and played it tonight. They got Savale going up against Kohanowitz. Kohanowitz is a ground ball pitcher for the A's. I love it. He's starting West Coast at night, heavy air. But you can tell when he's on, he is inducing as many ground balls as any pitcher in the game. He's a good young pitcher. But if he's not on, he is really susceptible. And you'll see it with his home runs. He hasn't been good as of late. He's 0-3 in his last 3 starts, an ERA of 7.88, 1.71 whip. So the A's got a shot here, but Savalier, who has had a good year, he's sitting at 5-1, but his last 3 outings, his whip is 1.56, which is area of concern for me. He's putting runners on base, but he's finding ways to get out of those innings. As long as he keeps doing that, he's good, but that is a red flag for me. He's putting too many runners on base for me.
Back to Jacob Lopez and Nick Kurtz. We've talked on the show for years. The age of the objective local broadcaster long gone, particularly in baseball. And I think we agree. We trace it back to the days of that a lot of people, if you're under 40, you don't remember this, TBS. The Turner Broadcasting System, I think it was what it was originally called. They broadcast the Braves nationwide because Ted Turner owned the Braves and owned the network, and they were the biggest homers you'd ever heard. And they were great announcers, very entertaining, but Skip Carey and the crew, if you know, you know, they were so Braves. It was like, and I'm, as a kid, as a teenager, I'm watching going, the A's announcers aren't like this. And it just shifted over to where basically, seemingly, all local announcers are homers. So, and I just accept that as part of the deal. When they do national games, like Joe Davis for Fox, he's the Dodgers announcer. I want him to be objective. I think he was during the World Series. That was my opinion. Whatever. But when you watch him, it's mixed in. Now, to the A's. Dallas Braden threw the perfect game. He's the color guy for the A's. And he is such a rooter. He roots for, he knows these guys. He hangs out with them. He wears it on his sleeve. Fine. He was struggling yesterday to say nice things about Jacob Lopez. That's when you know that it's he's not well. I don't want to say respected. That might not be the Dallas Braden knows what Steve said. Lopez kind of stinks, and he could not in any way really give him any type of kudos, and that's tough for Braden. That said, with Nick Kurtz, you would expect Braden to say this, but he was right. He pulled an Aaron Judge, Braden did. When Nick Kurtz was struggling in April, he said, Dallas Braden said, settle down. He'll be fine. Just let him play. The exact opposite of what the Giants are doing. Let him play. And there he is. Here he is. He stunk for a couple weeks there in April. And like you said, now the A's have some serious hitters. They could all get it going at the same time. They can start to run away with the West. That's down the road. But Nick Kurtz, he's there. So props to Braden on having that one right. I'm sure he would have said it even if it wasn't right. But Kurtz is the real deal. And you telling me that that's who they were comparing what's his name on the Giants to, that's ridiculous. Because that's what Kurtz did. They just said, the A's said, hey, we suck. Let's let Nick Kurtz play. And he stunk, and then he didn't. And when he didn't, he went nuts. He wasn't as bad as Aaron Judge, but he went nuts, and he still is with that glitching. You can't get better unless you play. This is
correct. And again, I would say, hey, look, Eldridge isn't one of the top prospects in baseball or whatever, but when you looked at the rankings, they were very, very close and similar height, everything. The guy can hit for power. Everything Nick Kurtz can do, so can Eldridge.
You say that. I don't know. He never plays.
Correct. Right. We don't know.
I screw this name up all the time. You get it right. Is it Andy Pages? Because it's
Andy
spelled
Pages.
Pages. See, that's where I screw it. Spelled Pages. It drives me nuts. All right, here's the deal. Last night, Dodgers, Padres. Mason Miller, Padres closer, who has been almost unhittable. After an errant pickoff throw, that put the winning run on third base. He threw a pitch that was clocked at 100.8 miles an hour to Dodger center fielder Andy Pages. Fouled it off and went to 0-2. This is in the ninth inning last night. Miller then proceeded to attack with 101 mile an hour fastballs, sliders, and Pages kept fouling them off or taking them for balls. Ninth pitch of the at-bat. He drives 101.5 mile an hour fastball far enough for the pinch runner Alex Call to barely beat the relay throw home on a sac fly, sending the Dodgers to a 5-4 victory at Petco Park. Big deal in the sense of A, they did it off Miller, and B, any game between the Dodgers and Padres is a big deal. They're a half game apart from each other. Dodgers back on top now.
I wouldn't expect anything different. I don't know if it's a 3-game or a 4-game series here, but every game should be a 1-run game. I mean, the Padres won the first one, 1-0. It was nice to see Miller, for the Dodger fans, to be human. I mean, it wasn't like he got pounded, but this guy has been as unhittable as a season so far, and it brings back the Dennis Eckersley days. And I don't know what season it was, like 87, 88, 89, somewhere in there, where his ERA, I think, was like 0.56. He didn't put anyone on base ever. That's the kind of season Miller has had. The Dodgers, though, gosh, I hate it, but they keep finding ways. And Freddie Freeman had the 2 big bombs, which led their offense, but they got to get Mookie Betts. He's back playing. Was nice seeing Shohei got a couple of hits. So, we all went into panic land when Shohei went like 0 for 18 and is he done? Stop the experiment now. Let him be a pitcher only. But the other part I take out of it, and I'm hoping it builds on it, is Fernando Tatis, 2 for 5. They got to get him going. Machado hit his home run. He's had the power, but he's not, he's hitting $182. But the Padres, to have any success, have to get Fernando Tatis going. He is like the engine of this team, and he just hasn't been able to do it.
So the Dodgers, they bump back to first place by half a game over the Padres. They wrap up the series today, which brings us back to Shohei, who are all now he's a two-way player, and then they try this thing, we're not going to hit you when you pitch. Oh, hey, we're not going to hit you when you pitch, and the day after. And then yesterday came word that we will actually get a chance to see Shohei do both today. According to Dodgers general manager Dave Roberts, yesterday he said that Ohtani will probably hit and pitch today when he's on the mound. Dodger skipper said Tuesday that the plan for the series finale in San Diego is to have Ohtani hit in the same game he's set to start. So I guess we'll just piece together all of these various performances of Shohei. He is starting today against Randy Vasquez.
And I expect him to hit, and I understand that decision. I mean, Vasquez has been outstanding so far this season. He's 5-1 at 2.7 ERA, 1.1 WHIP. He has been the best Padres pitcher to this point, Every time they have a loss, he's been able to turn it around. His last 3 games, he's 2-1, but his ERA is 2.25. His WHIP's 1.02. The Dodgers that aren't hitting, they have to have Ohtani's bat in the lineup, or they might lose this game 1-0 or 2-1. So I get it, and I think Ohtani going forward is going to be based on the opponent pitcher and team on whether or not he's not going to hit or he is. Ohtani has just been outstanding. Look, 3-2, and you ask how. His ERA is 0.8. He isn't putting anyone on base. His WHIP the last 3 games is 0.9 compared to 0.8 for the entire season. He has been unbelievable as a pitcher to this point in the season. It is a 540 game, so the sun and the overhanging shadow is going to play an even more bigger factor in this game. But this is the great pitching matchup Rob and I love to watch. And it wouldn't shock me if this game was 2-1. Hopefully it's not decided by a wild pickoff throw or something like that, or a pitch to the backstop to determine the winner. But this should be a great game tonight.
And this is the type. Well, look, Shohei wants to hit all the time. He's made that clear in a very professional way. But this is the game, and you brought this up last week too. On the other side of Shohei hitting is, how would Shohei feel? He's pitching, but not hitting, and his team loses 1-0, and he's like, "Come on, let me get up there. Let me have a chance at winning my own game." This is, like you said, if you're going to determine it based on opponent, this is the game you want him in, especially with this matchup. We will be back tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network, and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting,